Good morning. Today is Wednesday. I tell you this because it's very easy to lose track of the days when you spend most of your time in the house. Who would have thought it was a week ago that Don Anselm, when he was standing at the nuns' chapel in Wales, told us about the feast of St. Joseph and the way that we keep it on a slightly different day in the monastic calendar. Well, that was a whole week ago. It seems to have dragged in a strange way, but there we go. For us, it's an odd way of keeping St. Joseph, because at various times in our prayers and the office that we sing here in the church, and also in the Mass that we celebrate, St. Joseph keeps popping up, even if it's not his feast day. As soon as you turn around, there's an antiphon that we're singing to him, or that he is there in the preface of every Mass for this week, for these 8 days. It reminds us that for us, we celebrate today the feast of St. Joseph as if it were 1 week ago, this octave day repetition, that we exist in a cycle of time, not in a long stream of time. It's not that we're born, we live for a bit, and then we die, and that's it. That's not our faith. We are created, and our eternal soul will live for all eternity. And so we live in a kind of an evolving time, floating, one which is folded up and then unfolded. We experience the same things over and over again. We do in our liturgy, we do in our life. St. Joseph then, for this last week, this great feast who has been kept over and over again, and today is kept with a great solemnity. That's why I'm here in front of the statue of St. Joseph here in the shrine in Glastonbury, and also why we have lilies. Lilies are associated with St. Joseph. These are from the back garden here at the presbytery, monastery I should say, in the presbytery. They're associated with St. Joseph because of his virginity, of course, and also because of the traditional story of St. Joseph walking along with a staff, and when he pushed it into the ground, it sprouted lilies. And so lilies are associated with him. For me, they mean something slightly different. Because in my first parish, when I was a deacon in St. Nicholas of Tolentino in Bristol, there was a lady there called Betty, who in her back garden, it looked like a bomb site. Honestly, it was just brown mud and these clumps of stuff, which at some point must have been plants. Well, once a year, these clumps of stuff grew, and what they grew into were lilies. They grew, they blossomed, they were beautiful, absolutely beautiful, the only thing that she grew in her garden. She didn't grow them for herself. She spent almost no time in the back garden. She was out doing good, as we are told to. And nor did she cut them and put them into her own house. She took no enjoyment of them for herself. The lilies she grew in the back garden, or perhaps the lilies that grew in the back garden despite of her, the lilies that grew there were for the church. To cut them when they were a good size and bring them in, to be placed in front of the statue of Our Lady. But she never begrudged them to St. Joseph, because she knew, of course, that they were so associated with him. So for me, whenever I see lilies in front of St. Joseph, I don't just think of his virginity or that flowering staff, but I think about her as well. Our lives live in these cycles. Betty was gathered to God a while ago, but they live in these cycles of things which remind us of things over and over and over again. By the way, if you want to know the technical name for these lilies, if you think how beautiful they are, I must go down to a florist and try to get some, then the technical name, you may need to get a pen and paper, or you can replay this. The technical name is the big white ones. If you ask for the big white ones, they'll give them to you. So, these memories, these things that occur to us over and over again, sparked by memories, which come into our mind, like our liturgy this week, almost without thinking it, suddenly an antiphon of St. Joseph. Perhaps this has happened to you a lot more in these last 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, because with isolation, with time to yourself, then your mind does replay the world as it's been. Perhaps some of those memories are good. I hope they are. Perhaps some are difficult and some are bad. But no matter what they are part of you. They're part of who you are. They're a part of your life. But they don't define you. They're just part of you. So as they come upon you in these days and weeks, if they are bad, in kindness put them to one side. If they are good, then rejoice with them. But know this, that God has created you immortal, for immortality. Your soul will live forever. And as we go through our life, and go through all eternity, in this great cycle of life, this great cycle of becoming and being remembered by God, then we are called to live with joy and with love. So in this great time, when we remember St. Joseph, we remember Our Lady, and as we remember these beautiful things which God gives us, then collect flowers for the saints. And let the flowers be your good deeds and your prayers. May St. Joseph and his beloved spouse, the Blessed Virgin, pray for you always.